Welcome back, everyone, to our Rally Cry halftime show. But before we get to that halftime show and all the fun, we got to talk a little bit about the stage that was set by Cloud9 Challengers. My goodness, we were talking about this with #1 Challenger team versus #1 provisional team. But man, maybe it's just that Challenger rank 1 diff for loss. They looked damn good, and Cloud9 came out swinging, Joshi.
I was trying to decide what I actually learned from watching that game about these two teams, and I think what I learned is that Cloud9 did really good prep.
I see,
right?
I see.
The read that they had on what it was that Fear was going to try and do in that matchup was spot on. They had people already moving up towards the top side. Even as Fear was starting to get ready for that dive, they were already ready for the fight, and ultimately, that's the kind of thing that comes from having a fantastic supporting staff. I know Fear have talked about their supporting staff quite a bit, but they've been working for free from Europe. It feels as though Cloud9 just at next level.
And I think chat was convinced also. We're currently at a casual 100% for Cloud9 Challenge. I don't know how many votes have come in already, but I think the King one might have convinced chat too.
Before the match started, there was a lot of people in Fear's department. I don't know. Yeah. Results-based analysis.
Where are you at, Fear fans? Oh, okay, now they're coming in. Okay, I just have to call them out.
They just had to walk away, get a refresher, all right? Get a refresher. Speaking of, Joshi. But it was a lot of fun to watch Cloud9, as a Cloud9 fan, come out swinging in Game 1. We're hoping for a bounce back from Fear, but while we get to that, while teams are getting ready, gotta have a little bit of fun. Now, I used to be a zookeeper for about a year and a half at the Buffalo Zoo in Buffalo, New York, and that means that I have a little bit of a background in animals. Are
you a buffalo?
I'm not a buffalo.
Are you a guy on a buffalo?
Not a guy on a buffalo.
Five
now the 10 people that you've slowly showed
I've shown
everybody.
enough people in LA that hopefully people.
As I do have a little bit of that background in animals, I do want to go ahead and bring up some favorite animals of our players here. Now, I've gotten some questions answered by players, and I've come up with 4 creatures here. And you guys are going to have to tell me which one of these players' favorite animal these animals are. We're going to start off with the first one.
I have to see another just straight house cat and freak out.
I told them exotic animals, so luckily I changed the nomenclature this time around. So our first and foremost animal that we have, our favorite animal of one of our players, is a panda. Oh, a nice little panda. I got some panda facts while you guys think who this could possibly be. So, pandas, they can swim and they climb trees. My goodness.
That feels like me, because I ordered this poke bowl, and it had said bamboo rice, and I didn't know what that meant, and I think it's just straight up ground up bamboo.
Just bamboo? Okay, well, did you know?
Okay, is it me?
Joshi's
favorite. No, okay. I think... Who would this be?
I got some more facts, so maybe it helps. Maybe it helps.
Okay.
They have an extended wrist bone that they use to, like a thumb, to grip food. They also spend 10 to 16 hours a day eating, which is an important fact for the person this is, I feel like.
The player or the panda?
Both.
The player has an extended wrist bone.
I was very confused. I thought we were getting player
facts, obviously.
Okay. All right, I'm caught up.
I said animal facts. Cannot store fat, so they don't hibernate. They're always active. Again, spending 10 to 16 hours a day eating. Who do you think this could be?
I know.
Who?
All right, who is it, Steve?
This gives off major Tomio energy.
Let's go.
The most Tomio energy, right?
So it is absolutely Tomio. His favorite exotic animal, or favorite animal in general, is a panda. But it also fits because he eating in the jungle. All right, he's busy. I don't know if he has a thumb, so maybe not an extended wrist bone.
Kind of like bamboo that game.
They looking like bamboo.
Are pandas herbivores though? I thought they were herbivores.
They can't eat meat.
They can. Okay. Yeah, they're omnivores.
Yeah.
So
for just eating bamboo.
I'm just imagining the sound effect, because honestly, if you've never listened to a panda eating bamboo, it's one of the most weirdest sounds. No, that's not. It's just luckily has bamboo on the call.
I thought you were gonna pull up a soundboard.
No. He's eating bamboo. He's eating bamboo. All right, so we're gonna move on to our second animal here, away from the bamboo, and we're gonna go over to the emperor penguin. Now, this player said their favorite animal was a penguin. I chose a penguin because there are a lot of penguins. So I chose the emperor penguin. Now, there's 5 of them for a reason. They're all together. Now, they are the biggest of all penguins in the world. Emperor penguin colonies have been seen from space. They're designed to prevent heat loss. 2 layers of feathers, small proportions. Their beaks are smaller. Their feet are smaller. They're also the longest, or Olympic divers of the animal world. The longest recorded dive was 28 minutes for them. Whose favorite animal could
It's gotten
be
really
an
deep.
emperor penguin?
This feels like Shochi energy to me.
Oh my God, you're too good! You're too good! Okay, so I chose 5 because obviously they're the 5 friends in a dream.
True.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
They aren't purple
you got the
and
tall
black.
one, you got
yeah,
Shochi
you got
in
the
the
tall
middle.
one. It is Shochi's favorite animal is a penguin.
She's not the
Oh,
tallest.
we got a
but yeah.
score going. We got a little score.
But he's the
Okay,
one who
okay.
wears the Reaper costume.
Yeah, is that what it is? But it is a little bit of niceness to see, somebody with not like a vicious animal as their favorite animal. But speaking of vicious, we got to move on to our next one. Yeah, it can be. It's a
Have
bear.
you not seen Tropic Thunder?
This one is
have,
vicious.
actually.
This one is a bit vicious. Now,
Oh my
I chose this one specifically for the moment, and I'll go ahead and start talking a little bit about the animal facts that I have here lined up, and you'll start thinking of who this could possibly be. So they start with spotty coats as young. They eventually grow into the beautiful coats / manes that you see them have on all the pictures. The manes have a sign of age and dominance to them. As the longer they are, the older they are, but also the more dominant they have
Are
been.
you trying to describe Zazel's beard right now?
No.
No.
I'm sorry, you're wrong.
It's not
Do
even
most
legal
of their
energy.
hunting during the night, or more importantly, during storms. Rain and lightning and thunder are what they use as cover.
Lost.
And lions are the only big cats that
No.
roar together. Kangas, you are correct. The king of the jungle, the king of challengers, and the best
You know how I
ADC
got
we
that
have.
one?
It is
You know how I got
lost.
that one,
Ow.
Mazel?
How?
Thunder and lightning,
Yep,
baby.
there you
and it
go.
wasn't
I was
Zazel, so
hoping I
happy
threw that
lost.
one in there. I was like, there's gotta be something I can bring to the table. I chose this picture specifically because this guy is a monster. He will rip you to shreds, and a 400-pound lion is just about the same. So really incredible stuff from Lost in Game 1.
Pounds?
Yeah, male lions get up to 430-something pounds. That's
Wow.
actually insane. Imagine that driving on you.
Now lift a mill.
Oh, God. Now our last animal, a little bit less vicious in the category, and one that we actually have pop up a lot. It is an otter here as our last favorite animal. We have a lot of players
Why is
that
this
actually
one
have said
so
otter.
much lower quality?
Google does wonderful things.
All the others have been
All
like,
the others
wow,
are real
that's
good.
like
Yeah, this one's
National
not great.
Geographic.
Not great.
Oh,
Not
it's
great.
worse. No, it got worse.
Oh no. So I have one more player. I have one more special animal for these players. Now we'll go ahead and give you some facts. As these animals, they will spend their entire lives in the ocean.
Harry.
Nope, you're wrong. They'll also stash a pebble in the pocket under their armpit. They actually have like a little marsupial pouch there that they keep and use it as a tool. And they are carnivores as well as omnivores, but they eat shellfish and fish. I've said you're wrong. You're wrong. Who could this possibly be, Josh?
Oh, man, this feels like Trevor.
Ooh, you are wrong again, my friend. I'll give you guys one more guess. I feel like we're dwindling down here.
We don't
should
have
be
many
easier.
left.
Minui.
It's not.
Minui.
There you go. Good job.
Yeah, let's go.
Manui's favorite animal is an otter. And again, joining a lot of our like-minded teams across the board. Got to throw up the panda one more time. We're back to it. Because I love the panda, especially because C9 looks so good.
Still the thing I love most in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. What the Challenger Safari is over. All right, Challenger Safari is over. We're gonna move forward because we're walking. Yeah. To be honest, I've never had points for that game, but I appreciate Jay.
How many of the players would have said catch if it was an option?
A lot. That three out of those players had cat before I told them no, it has to be an exotic. And actually, I'm just gonna show you. Lost. He did say cat. I chose a cat for him, and it was the lion. So
Technically a cat.
technically a cat. He just said big cats. I said pumas, jaguars, panthers, anything. He didn't ever respond to me, so I just chose the lion.
Lost, come on.
But we do have
technically a
our
cat.
Apex
And too busy
Predators
laning, you know?
ready to go, guys. So we're going to go ahead and
playing
get
solo
over to draft number 2 as we are headed to a potential Cloud9 sweep. We'll see you there.
Thank you, Mazel, taking us on the Challengers League Safari. Yeah, Josh, I think that's a good point. He's too busy grinding solo queue, hitting rank 1 on the ladder to reply to Mazel. Now that he's achieved that, maybe he'll start getting back to us on things.
Yeah, people are messaging me about my bamboo rice. Now it's like not actually just ground up bamboo, but that's kind of what it tastes like. So
Can you show it to the
what
camera?
is.
Can you like lift it up? First 3 picks are generally not that exciting, so I think we have time for this. That looks delicious. That looks amazing.
It is tasty.
Don't
like,
spill it.
Poke is
Don't do this.
fantastic, but like, here I want to show. This is like greenish.
That's the bamboo rice. Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very different. It's not what I was expecting.
Essence of
bamboo. But as we get into this, we'll get to see whether or not Tomio gets to eat on bamboo once again. That's what it felt like he was. Manifesting his spirit animal, the panda. But we get all three of the classic bands going up against Fear, the Wukong, the Seraphine, the Olaf. Perry once again on the Sejuani, I believe his second most played so far throughout this split, and it looked okay, right? It was definitely a spot where it didn't really have a lot of opportunity to do things because of how aggressively Cloud9 had won the early game, and they're giving Tomio his most played of the season. Yet again, it is going to be the Vi.
I feel like Vi just fits Tomio so well. Even if you get focused and get put behind, you just press R on the animated carry. You're fine. You know, you're doing your job in the fight anyway. Speaking of AD carries, Fear decided to lock theirs in much earlier this time around. It was banned in the second round of bans for game 1, but now they get the Jinx.
Yeah, and they also pair it with the Gragas as well. Another strong flex, particularly in the top lane and the jungle. We haven't seen some mid lanes, but it is going to be a very similar draft coming through from Cloud9 Challengers. They have the Vi, they have the Zeri, they have the Annie, but it's technically a different order, which makes me sad because it looked exactly the same champions, but they put the Annie second, and so now maybe Diplex won't have to
Before
play.
it was Vaz, now it's Vazza.
Vizza! I like it. And then we have Gijit coming out on the other side.
Same
Gragas,
noises
Jinx,
at this point.
and the Thresh.
All right.
I mean, that's what casting is. We do have the Thresh coming through. I do really like this pick coming through for Trevor. You have a lot of safety now being provided for Minui. They're going right on back to the front-to-back style of teamfight that has served them so well throughout the course of the season. But they do need to be very careful, right? This is, yet again, an early game that doesn't necessarily have a lot of power built into it already. And the Olaf, I mean, they were really relying on having that character to dominate some of the early skirmishes, and it did not have enough firepower to actually take them through.
I think it makes sense, though, why Cloud9 would ban that away. It forces Fear into a different style of draft. I do like Thresh into the Annie. If you land that death sentence, she is in a lot of trouble, especially if you have a jungler coming nearby. So we'll see if Cloud9 actually put that into the support role this time, or if they still will hold the option of flexing it into mid lane. Now into the second round of bans. Veigar taking off the table. Shoji has been piloting this a couple of times throughout the split. So cool that Cloud9's also doing the research. You highlighted that before. You know, they have the staff, they have the coaching to do the research and say, nope, this is what we need to prepare going into this match.
Yeah, and it also is hinting that Diplex is way more likely to play this Annie than to give it over to Zeyzal yet again, as both these bans coming through against Shochi do... I mean, these are both fairly common counter picks to the Annie, but we do have the Cassante coming through up in the top lane for Faisal. Not going to have the Fiora there, and so I'm curious what FakeGod actually plays from this position, right? He has been playing quite a bit of tanks. The Scion does still make a lot of sense here for Cloud9, but it's not something that FakeGod has put the most games into.
I could even see maybe Cho'Gath. If Cassante goes all out, he's also shortening his health bar. Cho'Gath gets closer to that execute range. Yeah, exactly. They go with the Ahri for Diplex, so it will be Annie going into the support role. They had to show what their mid laner would be, so Shochi will get counter pick. And hovering the Gnar, they lock in the Gnar. Interesting.
I actually think this makes a lot more sense here than it has in a lot of other positions. And it is a situation where as the game goes longer, you get more movement speed, you can kite out Faisal. But the one thing that we always have to look at with Gnar is how easy is it to dive him on wave 3. We saw that Faisal and Perry went for something like that in our last game. Cloud9 had a fantastic read on it, and it really means that FakeGod has to be very careful. His HP is Shochi bringing the Yasuo.
Okay. Well, Fear have a much more, I don't know, targeted pick this time around, where they can just set up dives onto Lost much easier than they did last time, where they had all their damage in Minui and he had to kind of finesse the fights, get into the fights. Now it's like just the 1-2 punch of the Gragas combo plus the Yasuo combo on top of it. Is it gonna be enough though? It's cool. It's exciting. Kind of counters the Ahri, but is it good in this current draft right now?
Well, the big thing is it drastically changes the way that Fear we're going to have to be approaching these fights, right? We've always looked at Fear as a team that is front to back, but this is a team where suddenly they are the ones being these aggressive divers, and it also forces Perry from being the tank Gragas into being like the Night Harvester kind of Gragas. The Titan is going to be doing a lot of upfront burst, trying to take somebody down very early, and so Fear, as long as they are ahead, they are winning. And I know that sounds like a tautology, right? It's like, oh, they're winning, so they're winning. Great job. Good analysis, Josh. But no, it is a situation where if they ever fall behind and this combo from Gragas and Yasuo is not absolutely bursting one person so that they can get the kill and reset the Jinx, this comp is going to fall apart.
Oh, early game. Trevor hit with the charm and first blood to Lost. That is a rough way to start game 2 in a best-of-3 series when you're already on the back foot.
And it didn't cost Cloud9 anything. Diplex just had to start Charm, which is like something that Arses do from time to time, right? It's definitely a spot where you're going into Shochi. You are absolutely fine to try and take this, and Cloud9, they get the flash out of Trevor. They get the first blood onto Lost. He walks to lane with an extra longsword. It's not the same kind of disaster as we saw last time, but it's definitely not easy for Fear to suddenly play from that position.
Not how Fear want to start the series, not how Fear want to start game 2. They are given early leads to Cloud9 in both of these, and now they got to climb their way back out of it. Lost even gets the back off, starting lane with a longsword. That can change the entire dynamic of how you expect this lane to go.
Yeah. Everybody else just going to be going back into their own lane. Both junglers going to be having very similar starts off the sides of the map, and it will likely mean that they have a lot of options for how they actually want to take some of these early paths. And you are seeing that Tomio, after clearing out the Raptors, immediately moving towards the top half of the map, doing some of these AoE camps because all the extra attack speed from Vi makes those easier to do. But also walking around, I don't know if they know that that ward was there, but Tomio doing a fantastic job actually avoiding it.
Interesting to see that. Sometimes if your laner comes to lane late or steps out for a second, you can give your jungler that information, say, hey, this is where they generally drop those wards. C9 Challengers have been doing a lot of homework coming into this match, reading what Fear like to do and some of their tendencies, something that not every team can boast. A lot of our teams struggle at the prep. They struggle at the level 1s in understanding how they need to counter what their opponent wants to do in the early game.
I mean, a lot of teams will also draft a ton of crowd control into Faisal's Olaf, but, you know, it is what it is. Cloud9 well ahead of the curve so far. We were saying one of the big things for Cloud9 was going to be the Wave 3 dive coming through for Fear. Perry is already walking around, has the electrocute for the extra burst of damage, sees that Tomio has already cleared out all of these camps, and will they get any further idea? Oh, they do in fact know at this point where Tomio is, and so Fear moving around, not going to be able to go for the dive because Fake God was too healthy, but still looking for these opportunities.
Interesting little scenario there as Death Sentence goes a little wide. The fact that Tomio doesn't get the burn damage onto the Wolves means that you should know, wait a minute, Barry must have been right there, because I don't know, otherwise if Vision would have given him any indication. Goes back to the bot lane, or bot side, clears out the red buff, and will now for sure spot Perry. There is a bigger health bar, but doesn't have blue buff. Tomio actually sees that, so does Tomio want to go aggressive here and look for something?
He does have the priority in the bottom lane, but as long as you can get this Scuttle Crab, it's going to be A-OK. Now, Tomio has an option. Do they want to go clear out their Krugs? Or want to cross-map and go for the top side Scuttle Crab? It looks like the answer is they want to walk down towards the Krugs, make sure that they don't give too much information away, but they are spotted out on a ward. So both junglers, a little bit odd paths overall in terms of where they're actually moving, but it ends up being very successful for Cloud9 to stop any aggression from Fear.
Barry will go towards the Raptors next. Here is slightly behind the clear. Some of that having to do with all the time you spent walking into the top jungle and only getting one little wolf there. But we'll probably get this top scuttle afterwards, as Tomio actually path towards the bot lane, was maybe looking for a lane gank, but they also had the ward in the pixel brush in the river to spot that happening. Perry, meanwhile, is mid. Diplex does not realize this.
Nice.
Has to flash away.
Really respectful flash coming out from Diplex, already knowing what the problems could have been if they actually stuck around. And so, not going to go down, but now suddenly a big target on the back. That flash will still be down by the time Perry actually hits level 6, and that will put Diplex in a very tough position. And it is worth noting, one of the things that we have seen Cloud9 have a lot of success with in the past is when you have things like the Vi Talia, you have a very easy setup. The same thing works with R. You press R on Tomio, and it kind of doesn't matter if Shochi does have that flash. You're going to go down unless you can get the window out early.
So we saw Shochi does have pretty fast reaction time there. Was able to get it up before the charm landed as Diplex was trying to stop that earlier
some guys have
back.
problems with that.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yep.
Okay, I thought maybe they would go for something more. They're just getting the ward or the wave pushed in rather, as Dragon has been started by Tomio.
Yeah. So here we go, Cloud9. I mean, still, there has not been a ton of action, but having these small leads kind of across the board and almost every position is leading to a slightly larger gold advantage than just the kill that we saw previously. And as they are the ones who actually pick up the first dragon, that's another dent in the game plan that we have been seeing from Fear so often. Usually, we always say sometime between 5:30 and 6:30, they will go for a gank in either the mid lane, sometimes the bottom lane, or set for that dragon. Cloud9 are there faster. They don't need to go for the gank first if they are expecting Fear to go for the fight before the actual dragon. Another good read from Cloud9.
And also, Diplix has been playing very safe for right now. Has not been punished for not having that flash parry. Just hit level 5 on that last camp cleared. So, racing to 6, because you mentioned they have the combo if they can pull it off. Otherwise, you'll have to flash body slam, which is still an angle, but Diplix is playing so far back under the turret that you're just going to be taking turret shots the whole time while you try and go for that one.
Even just the threat of the combo is enough to buy Shochi a bit of a lead here as well. This matchup can be very volatile, especially because they like fighting in very different spots, right? Ari loves trying to pick people off from outside the minion wave, but Yasuo is so good at fighting inside minion waves that he doesn't necessarily want to give opportunities to fight in those situations at all. And so, I mean, the game relatively slow from this position, and so it's definitely been interesting to kind of watch, right? Because one of the things that I think has been interesting is Trevor has actually been one of our better supports in the league. But he's also one of our oldest players in the entire league. I think I remember reading that only Hanser, Svenskeren, and
I believe Wild Turtle at the time.
Well, yeah, Wild Turtle and Gamsu are older than Trevor, right? Like these guys have been around for such a long period of time, but Zeyzal, has also been around for such a long period. And I feel as though Trevor, even though this game he got caught out at level 1, has kind of showcased that they're worth a little bit more of a look, even with their age.
It was fun talking to some of the teams about that too in interviews that we've had. I believe it was just in our last interview with Perry where we were talking about the impact that he has on the team and helping calm everybody down, get them on the same page. Actually, now I remember it was Manui, because it was the one where Perry was running around in the background, kicking his leg all over the place, as he tends to do in interviews. But anyway, Manui was mentioning laning with Trevor, even outside of game, having that, very mature presence for the team, getting everybody on the same page, calming them down when they need it, hyping them up when they need it. Trevor's been around the block. He has, even though he's a rookie technically at this level of play, been competing for a decent amount of time. So cool to see him stepping up as we are starting up the Herald.
And Cloud9 are well aware of this, but Zeyzal's a little bit slower to the rotation than Trevor is, and Cloud9, I mean, Fake God does not have any rage, doesn't have a way to get it through, and now they're going on Diplex.
And they go right in onto Diplex. Flashing from Zeyzal, though, turns the play. Trade up 1-for-1. Shochi and Faisal are in it right now as they try and chase out Fake God from the fight, from the action. Zeyzal sacks up another stun, but does not have the cooldowns to turn it, so Fear get a nice little 1-for-2.
Yeah, I mean, Cloud9, we praise them so much for their reads of what Fear want to do on the map. They know that there is a Rift Herald getting started here. They're just a little bit slower to the play. Diplex getting caught out by Trevor. And Cloud9, the big question is, do you want to go for a round 2? They still have some big ultimates left as we take another look at this one. I mean, it's the combo. It's not the way we expected the combo to go through, but it still is enough to take down Diplex before they can do anything. As the fight erupts, the fact that Fake God still is mini is really changing the way this fight could potentially go. He's just not able to participate at this point in the game.
Yeah, if he's able to get a massive 3-champ Gnar engage, obviously would have changed the tides, but we don't see Fear go for the Herald after the play subsides, so Cloud9 can get back onto the map. Zeyzal's back up here, and they will claim the neutral objective. So the kills, the gold feels nice for Fear in that instance. They're able to pull off a slick little death sentence into Fog of War and the Shochi combo. But they need to get a little bit more afterwards. They're giving up these objectives to Cloud9 still. Ooh, this is a deep invade.
Still being left all on their own. Trying to figure out what is going on. It looks like Cloud9 have an inkling that people are here.
Tomio and Zeyzal are linked together at the hip. They see the red buff is up. They don't go for it. Wow, Cloud9 Challengers are playing with a lot of respect, but over the wall. Play back. Tomio decides to engage. That's the only direction you can go, and the kill credit to Manui with the Super Mega Death Rocket. Do Fear look for more? They no longer have Yasuo ultimate. They do still have the explosive cast, but they back off. They say, nope, let's just take the red buff.
Yeah, I mean, good stuff from Fear. We were saying that this was the way to actually try and attack Cloud9, but it is not enough to only attack this one player. You got to find advantages across the map. Picking up this dragon, neutralizing the early Infernal Dragon, so they are 1-1 apiece on the count, will help out. But also look at how much they have given up. There was a lot of time being spent from Fear not farming, and so Shochi, being out of lane, ends up giving over another play in recompense.
Fear need to play the map here, and they've been doing a good job of it so far. Trevor in particular, being the playmaker, landed that death sentence into Fog of War onto Diplex earlier, takes the Blast Cone, gets the initial flay onto Tomio to pull them back into the team. Trevor has been a difference maker so far to get Fear back into it, because remember, his game started with Lost grabbing that first blood onto Trevor, so Trevor's got to do some work here to make up for that.
Yeah. So far as this Rip Child does go down, even more money going to be going over towards Cloud9, split between 3 members.
Ooh, Perry onto Tomio. No flash, no ultimate available. And Perry's trying to body block there. Manui gets a second kill off of Cloud9's jungler.
Wow, Tomio going down yet again. Cloud9, I mean, this is the kind of games where you always start looking like, oh, Cloud9, they've been giving over quite a few kills at this point, but they are still even in gold at this point, Steve. And that is going to be one of the things that you have to look for, is how confident are Fear going to be for a lot of these upcoming plays. They already have a couple of fights.
That ward. Ooh. Buying a lot of time for Cloud9 to play with. Yeah, I think Perry could have snap ulted onto Lost there. You at least get flash out of the Zeri, but not committing.
A little bit of uncharacteristic indecisiveness coming through. Faisal also committing the Ghost for a bit of a duel that was happening on the top side. But this is definitely one of the things where Fear, because they're not behind, they do have the opportunity to dictate a lot of these upcoming fights, right? Especially as Shochi scales into the game, is not being put behind at all. They're definitely going to be strong enough to try and find some of these early fights. And so when we get to the next dragon, when people are starting to get their first items completed, Perry already has that Night Harvester done. You can expect that Shochi will probably have their first crit item done in, the next couple of minutes when we actually start fighting for that dragon. Watch who Perry actually tries to select for the targets. Is he going for a Lost? Is he going for Diplex? Either one of them, if he can take them out of the fight immediately, will be a huge benefit, especially if Manui also lands the rocket and resets.
I'm imagining you're gonna want to get onto Lost. Lost just got a full turret down bot lane. Yeah, the first blood felt great, but it gave you the power to get more as Trevor lands the death sentence onto Fake God in a lot of trouble. Has flash, jumps away. Fake God will not have summoner spells for another fight if it breaks out for this Herald.
Yeah, or for the dragon that'll be coming up in about 2 minutes. And good stuff from Fear, trying to punish this top side. It has been the king of weak side, but that does mean that there's not a lot of support that has been coming out for Fake God in a lot of these games. To his credit, he is still slightly ahead in this lane matchup, and Fake God has been showcasing, I always like to call it the wiggle. When you move back and forth, like, ooh, am I going to hit you? I'm going to walk away. Like, what's actually going on? And Fake God has been doing a fantastic job beating Faisal at almost every wiggle interaction we have seen. But it's not enough for Gnar to suddenly be this big player. We are going to have to watch whether or not they can survive the split push against Shochi as well, and if they're going to have their item completed by the time the dragon actually spawns.
Yeah, also one of those kind of old school counters for the Gnar. Do a lot to get on top of the Gnar and does a lot of damage to Gnar once you are in that position. So they now have Shochi top lane, Manui, Trevor mid up against Lost and Zazel. The bot laners have lane swapped into the mid lane, as the Herald will be spawning in just under a minute. So trying to establish vision lines here. If you can get a pick before the objective, it feels even better. So I think Perry actually tried to get around that vision from the scuttle, but should have been spotted regardless.
Yep.
Hey, Cloud9 are
start setting up
the wards now.
Yeah. I mean, everybody comes through, and you are seeing that Perry and Shochi moving around together.
They won't know
Cloud9, that might be faster.
Yeah, Cloud9 They have the engage. Shochi taking damage from Fake God already. Down to half health before Tomio Zazel even arrived, so needs to get out of there.
Yeah, everybody going to be backing away. It's been interesting to watch how Shochi has grown as an amateur player as well moving into this. He spent so much time playing alongside AoE's Winnie, previously Winston, on teams like Taco Gaming and Immortals AoE. But now, I mean, it seems as though they have become very accustomed to parry very quickly. So now, again, watch what kind of combinations they try and go for. It looks as though Fear are going to be prioritizing going for this Rift Herald instead of going for the early Dragon. And they should be able to take this down and potentially set up for the next fight if Cloud9 don't recognize what Fear are doing.
Dragon up in 3 seconds. Tomio and Diplex are there. And they're also getting priority in the mid lane. So let's see how much time Fear has to go and try and contest this. C9 will just be on Dragon, so objective should be traded. Now what does Fear want to do with it? Oh, they're actually going top lane.
Yeah, trying to take this down and give more money over to Shochi. Perry's going to get some of it if it actually does go down, but Fear, I mean, they know what their major win condition is. They need this burst combo to actually work. They're going to be trading the Dragon in order to make sure it can happen. Now, oftentimes, you know, Magical will always say a soul is a soul, but you know what Davy Jones says?
I don't remember.
One soul is not equal to another.
Oh.
This is a game where the Ocean Soul means absolutely nothing, even if Cloud9 is able to get it. So Crash does go through, because for Fear, the fight either ends instantly, you instantly burst someone out, or you don't, right? Like, it really is that binary with the way that Fear is actually going to be trying to play it, and because Ocean Soul takes so long to actually have an effect, you know, Cloud9 can get it, but it doesn't really change the win conditions for Fear at all.
Why is the rum always gone?
Why is the rum always gone?
Pushing into the mid lane now. Getting the wave to Crash there, and with the gold lead, with the Dragons stacking, feeling very comfortable in this game. Regardless of which soul is up right now, Fear have gold into their Yasuo. This is where I feel that they can actually start to make some plays happen. You see Shochi linking up with the rest of the team. They don't have a big side lane to push for right now. Might just go into the bot one soon, as he's just clearing out vision before then. Fear are playing this one very slow. They're not utilizing the Yasuo Gragas super early, but at this point with items completed, this is where I see them starting to actually blow people up 100-0, these squishier members.
And as that is true, Steve, we've set that up quite a bit. The other thing that I kind of want to look at is Fake God has been a strong side laner when they're actually able to play the game, right? So much of the time, there's so much pressure put onto this guy, but this is a game where now actually has an opportunity to start going for fights on their own, can actually hustle with Faisal over and over again because they have enough movement speed to try and get away. But also a very squishy member, right? We've been spending a lot of time talking about how Shochi and Perry can't burst out Diplex or Lost. Perry, by going full AP, I mean, you just instantly jump on top of Mininar, and that's a ton of damage. Manui takes a big chunk there as well, but both these teams, seems like they're very content with the idea that they will outplay their opponents later on in the game. And I feel as though that has been a benefit for Cloud9 in a lot of their long games.
They had double items on Lost too, so they are definitely scaling up to the point where they can also take these fights. It's so hard to beat Cloud9 anywhere in a game, but it's bold to assume that you're going to be able to beat them late game. Fear, also known for their team fight ability. I think players like Perry have really shined in late game situations. I remember even back to the last time these two teams went off against each other. Perry still on the Wukong, you know, that's kind of the champion he's been piloting the most, as Cloud9 have identified that. Has had a lot of really clutch plays. Can he still do it on other champions? Things like this Gragas, because Cloud9, they definitely did their research coming into this one, getting Fear off of a lot of their more comfort picks.
So, I mean, it has been a slow game. It's been a very slow game. But this is where so many of these veterans for Cloud9 will really start coming into their own. It's the question of veterancy versus the power of friendship. This Fear, I mean, we talked about it before. They are just a very scrappy team. Right there, the Jimmy Neutron kids coming through, looking to try and make something happen.
Okay, I gotta raise a concern about that. I gotta raise a concern. You said they're a box of scraps put together for a team. I take issue with calling the players a box of scraps. These are some lean, mean fighting machines here, Josh.
I mean, the fact that they are on this team instead of one of the challenger teams, it feels like a box of misfit toys coming through that has worked out super well. You know? I mean, these guys have had a lot of time working together in amateur, and while we would definitely argue they should probably have opportunities to have more time playing for these challenger teams, the fact of the matter is these guys are basically all rookies coming through.
True.
They're coming together as the kids of America.
Ooh, as they avoid the game coming in from one of the more experienced members of Cloud9. Zazel looks for the engage there. Flash, Andy Tippers, and Ferry doesn't even need to use Flash to get away. Cloud9 Challengers are now committing onto the turret, but Fear can clear the wave, so no play for Cloud9.
Yeah, going to be backing away, and so as everybody starts to get their resets in, make sure they can get the gold necessary to actually spend it before the upcoming fight. Things we're looking at is who has these big item spikes. We are seeing 2 items already coming through for Lost, but also, I'd argue an even better 2 items coming through for Manui. This is Jinx's prime relevancy. While they never really fall off, this is when they're at their strongest. And so, the other thing that we got to pay attention to, Fake God, he just popped his Mega Gnar. From when you first pop your Mega Gnar to getting your next one, it's generally about 45 seconds. It's taking him about 8. They're not going to have the Mega Gnar by the time they actually get to this wave. And that's part of why we're seeing Fake God continuing to push up, trying to make sure that they can, 1, stack up their Mega Gnar so that they can participate in time, but they also have the teleport or to try and join.
And Fear, they know that that's a mini Gnar. Can't teleport in, but for right now, they got 5 members, so they just hard force onto the mid turret. Take it down, and now they will get their second dragon of the game. Cloud9 Challengers are actually backing off of it, setting up a potential trap here if Faisal walks through the jungle, but isn't going to take the bait, and that is a dragon secure for Fear.
Yeah, does Fake God even get this whole turret? He's getting a lot of damage down, and it looks like they are going to be able to secure that for themselves. It's 2 kills effectively going over towards Fake God up on the top side of the map. That will make the split scarier, but there's a lot of vision denial here from Cloud9. They should be able to escape from the counterattack coming through from Fear.
One of the coolest things to watch here in a developmental league is how teams react to each other's game plans. Cloud9 Challengers, they did not have access to the dragon. Rather than just forcing it, Fake and teleporting in as mini Gnar, Tomio just throwing his life in to try and get an engage. They say, all right, we're going to take away 2 camps topside and get a turret. That's fine. We don't need to hard fight for the dragon. It's all right to trade on the map. And even then, they still stuck around to maybe look for a pick. If you get a pick, if you bait Fear into a bad position because you're controlling the top jungle at that point, well, hey, Baron's up too. So I love to see the development of players. Even though we have seen Lost, Zazel, Fake Out in LCS before, it's so cool that they're able to draw these game plans and execute on them.
Yeah. It's also worth noting that if the Ocean Soul does ever go over to Cincinnati Fear, it's not fake for them. It's a little fake for Cloud9, but it is super valuable for Fear because it means that they have another way to actually try and take the fights, even if that initial burst combo doesn't end up working out. And so, as we continue watching, it is the best provisional team still going up against the best challengers team. And it's been very pokey and proddy. And one of the things that we have seen is this is how teams have been able to beat Cloud9 in the past. It's how CLG found both of their wins previously. Not necessarily actually fighting Cloud9, but just constantly asking these questions that Cloud9 was not able to answer. As another turret ends up going down, we are shifting a little bit further away from having a ton of just free vision provided by the structures, which I feel like even though Cloud9 picks that up, by having more space for Fear to operate, more situations of fog of war, it makes that pick combination even stronger.
And you see Cloud9 are answering that in a unique way of just clumping together. Oh, charm onto Trevor, he's fine. Fair and Shoshi are walking up to back up their support, but it's not about the side lanes for Cloud9. They have identified, we do not want to die to the Yasuo Gravigus combo. What's one of the best ways to avoid that? Just have everyone kind of walk together. You know, we're safer together. We're stronger if we can also threaten and engage onto them. Because if Shoshi goes in and he does get all of us, we can blow him up. Yeah. I wasn't going to say that because we had the whole Pirates of the Caribbean thing before, so I was trying to think of a way to like tie it into that. But I guess we can just go like General Hollywood for this cast.
Yeah.
But say hello to my little friend. You know, we'll just say anything at this point.
Is that Lost at this point? Yeah. Well, I mean, Lost. Zazel. Oh, that's a pretty big friend. But now we got Fake God as well coming through. He's got a sizable lead here over Faisal. Has not really been
look at Trevor and
also, Oh, now he's already coming in to join the rest of the team. He's got a strong opportunity as Diplex forces a flash here out of Trevor, but so much poking and prodding. I would love to see Fake God actually like stick around in some of these side lanes because it's not the most effective front line, especially when you're mini. You really are only a great front line when you are that Mega Gnar, and at the same time, you have a lot of movement speed by which to kind of run circles around Faisal in the side lane, potentially try and take another structure even while Faisal is there.
With Fake God being there's just another body on the screen. Fear do not want to force an engage into a situation like that. And Trevor not having flash down, not the end of the world, but hey, that is now a target on your back. You're a little more susceptible to dying to an Ahri pick, to an Annie pick.
Oh.
Okay, we're just going right for Baron.
You have so much control around this, and so Cloud9, they're coming in a little bit late, having to face check everything, and the predict.
Trevor! They just picked off Tomio.
That's the combo.
I don't know if I can call that a prediction, but it definitely landed. Tomio gone means that Fear do not have to worry about a smite steal. But Cloud9 can still look to get some kills. Wind Wall is buying a lot of space for Fear to operate in. Zazel goes in. Zazel. Lost is in the pit. Lost is doing damage. Shochi takes down Zazel, but falls in return. And Lost is just untouched right now. Cloud9 Challengers 80 carry. Carrying the fight as Diplex picks up a double. Flashes the death sentence. Lost can do this. He can't. Shut down by Manui. Fear win the fight.
What a crazy fight. What a great job from Manui to find the pocket where he is untouchable. 5-0-3 all of a sudden on this Jinx. This could be the thing that breaks the camel's back, Steve. Fear finding such a massive pick there onto Tomio the third straight time that they picked him off before an objective, and it rewards them with the Baron.
It was such a long lull of not much happening other than a couple turrets traded. We forgot the last time action happened. It was Tomio also getting picked here. Trevor throws out the death sentence, lands onto Tomio as he was vault breakering back into the brush. Ooh, that was slick. I hope we get a chance to talk to a member of Fear later to say, was that a prediction or was that just you throwing it into the brush and landing it regardless? But this fight was actually pretty close after.
Yeah, Wasp does a ton of damage here, but the big thing is that there's so much pressure already getting put on the front line, and Gnar not able to actually find a super great ult because of the counter ult coming through from Faisal. While Wasp was really close to carrying this fight, even flashing the death sense in a moment, Manui, there's no pressure getting put onto him. A great response coming through from Fear to instantly bonk him. And with all of the flashes left over, the mobility still there, no one left on Fear. Goes down to Lost, but he's now on 3 items, even though Manui is as well.
I hate to break it to you, he was at 3 items in that fight too.
Oh, he
still wasn't able to pull it off. Yeah, Manui just has the range with the rocket. Simplex jumping in. Oh, looking, fishing, hunting for Manui. The Predators are on the leash, and now they're angry after losing the Baron there. Fear, though, they absorb it. Manui walks back up, though. Manui picked off! Walks up into a Vi and an Ahri, and that could be a really bad play for Fear now, because Cloud9 can turn this into so much more. Picking off the 80 carry, picking off the jungler.
Wow, I mean, Manui just walking up a little bit too far. He's been so good at fighting these pockets, so good at playing for the front to back, but at that point, goes too far. Cloud9, now they're looking the ones to have the power play, while Fear actually picks up the Baron. And so as they take yet another structure, Cloud9, even though it's a little bit of a wonky situation where the big combination from Shochi and Perry is still available, they put themselves within one team fight of actually ending the game. Fear, they not only need to get a good team fight, but they also need to be on Cloud9's side of the map.
Fear's going to want that one back. Manui's going to want that one back. They were in a really good position. But now Cloud9, they get the turret mid. They push out all the waves. Fear will have to absorb all of this as Manui's back onto the map. But the Baron play has now turned into actually a gold deficit, I believe, for them. Based on at least the current state of things, they have not gotten back into the lead here.
Yeah. It's also worth noting that a couple of crucial items are coming out for the members of Cloud9. We have seen Fake God pick up the Randuin's Omen. When you press that, it's just a straight 21% damage reduction across every crit player on the other side, right? Between the crit reduction that you actually have as well as the attack speed reduction. And then you also have the reduced on hit from the AD. There's just a ton of extra value that Fake God will be getting every single time he interacts with Shoji and with Manui. Tomio, not that far either from picking up a Randuin's of their own. That will really shut down a lot of the play coming through from Fear if they don't get some of these early bursts off.
Cloud9 Challengers are in a strong position currently. Usually the Gnar, especially Mini, isn't the tankiest member, but when there's a lot of crit, yeah, this build is going to make you quite tanky. As you're also pushing in the side lane right now, controlling all the vision in the jungle here. We see Fear. They don't have a strong access point right now. Dragon's not up for 2 minutes, though, so there's really nothing to fight over here. Fear right now seem like they're just trying to catch these waves and not get dove underneath them. They only have the inhibitor turrets left up except for that bottom one, so Cloud9 don't really have an angle of attack. They will just go for the reset.
Yeah. And look at this. Fear and Perry, or Shoji and Perry have been sitting in these bushes for so long, waiting for a member of Cloud9 to come poke their heads over towards the Baron. What was that?
And a little camping trip, you know, having a picnic in the river.
You know, one of them in one bush, the other in another.
Waving at each other.
Sunbathing.
Hi, neighbor.
Hi, neighbor. Heidi-ho. Howdly doodly. Gamerino.
Minute and a half until both of the objectives are up. They're spawning around the same time. I'm wondering what the plan is for either of these teams, which one they prioritize, because Fear obviously are on the Dragon Soul point, so if they get Dragon, feels great. Cloud9, they could deny that, but if they do, they might be giving up Baron, so it's going to make a really awkward game state.
And so, I mean, the big thing is that there are two deciding factors in who gets to choose. One, Fear, they have a very fast Baron take between the fact that they have both the Yasuo and the Jinx on, 2, 3, 4 items. Whereas on the other hand, Cloud9, they've been really good at getting to these locations first, and they can choose what the action is going to be focused on. They have enough lifesteal on Lost to actually just hit one of them. In Fear, they're trying to counteract some of that early play, teleporting Faisal in early. And both the side lanes are exactly even in farm.
You are going up to the Dragon right now, so we got an answer to my question. It is not a trade, it is a contest. Cloud9 are also set up around this, so we're going to get a team fight to decide who walks away with either Dragon Soul or Dragon Soul Point, because Cloud9, it's need one more after this. They go to the mid wave. Perry jumps in. Oh. The cast, does now. Oh! Lost in trouble. Shoji gets on top of him, but has the stasis. Lost survives the engage as Tomio gets onto Manui, and Cloud9 Challengers dominate a nice team fight with a clean 4-for-0.
And the super clutch stopwatch coming through from Lost, looking to win Cloud9 their second game, to take this one in a 2-0. The rank 1 challenger standing tall. We said it was going to be about if Shoji and Perry can kill one person, they can win the fight. But Lost survives by building the last item, finds everything that they need to, and Cloud9 looking to move on to the upper bracket finals.
The question remains, who can challenge Cloud9 Challengers? 2-0 sweep over Fear into upper bracket finals, and are obviously the favorites at this point in the tournament. Nobody has been able to step up to what this team is bringing to the table.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly been super, super impressive from what Cloud9 has been able to do. That game was so slow, but the confidence that Cloud9 has, just play it out slowly, wait for Fear to get antsy, use that calm experience to say, they're going to have to do something.
Yep.
We have the tools to counteract it. We already bought the stopwatch, and the fact that Lost stays alive yet again. Yes. Crucial victory coming through for Cloud9.
Yeah, Perry in that moment walks up. Your AP Gragas. You can get poked out very quickly if you're not just committing to the play, even with your W up. And then I think was feeling the pressure there, throws out the ult. Lost in a really good position to just throw up the stasis, survive through it, and then turn the fight afterwards. Cloud9 Challengers are the team to beat in this tournament, and even though Fear lose today, they go into the lower bracket. They have an opportunity to run it back and try and get a rematch against Cloud9 later on. But hey, I think that settles it for right now. That is total 3-1 in favor of Cloud9 over Fear.
Yeah, I mean, that's the extended best of 5 coming through. They've seems to have figured it out, right? You got to get parry off of the Wukong. They did that all of their games. They never let the Seraphine come through, and so far, Cloud9, as you said, have been looking pretty much unstoppable.
So with that said, we're going to send it to a short break before we bring back one of the members of Cloud9 for our Verizon post-game interview right after this.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Verizon post-game interview. I'm here with Cloud9 Challenger support, Zeyzal. And man, you've pushed yourself to a top 4 now, even with the changes in the mid for the roster. You and Lost have been an absolute key pillar of that. What has the duo journey been like for you with these most aggressive ADC, like you've said before?
It's been really easy. So pretty much he can play anything. So honestly, like if there's a limit on what we're playing in the bot lane, it's usually from me, not him, which is unusual. But I mean, he's just really solid, well-rounded player. Maybe a bit more on the sword side of things than the farming side, but I definitely enjoy playing with him, and it's been pretty smooth.
I like it. Now, he is rank 1 in Challenger now. Is he walking a little bit taller? Does he have a little bit more confidence?
Oh yeah, I mean, we can't even talk to him without addressing him as rank 1 now. It's kind of weird. Like, we walked in today, he said he was rank 1. Then we're like, congratulations, Lauren. And he's like, what'd you just say, man? You need to address me properly. Now we have to call him King Lawrence. It's kind of weird, but I mean.
Wow. I was wondering if he got like a Starbucks coffee today. He made him put rank 1 as the name on there.
I'm sure he would.
That's hilarious.
We did not, but I'm for sure he will.
Now you are streaking in the upper bracket, right? You're in the upper bracket finals now on the horizon. What's been the key to working with a team? Has it just been team cohesion, or what's the special sauce?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would say our team works well together. We all understand our roles within the team. Definitely, I would say it's not been winning drafts, because that's not really our coach's strength. His strength is more, losing drafts, but that's fine. I mean, we can work with it.
Fine.
Yeah, but I would say we all come together well. We prepare well for our opponents. Like, I think our 3 bans today, we kind of swapped between some, but they were really good versus Fear. And I think it's just we have good practice. And if we can play to the level in our practice, we will win.
All right, good words, good words. Now, I will ask you personally, on a personal level, is this the expectations you had for yourself at the beginning of the split? Is this kind of going as planned?
Yeah, I would say so. So I think I wasn't like, I thought I would end first. I wasn't sure how, like, I guess cocky to be, but in scrims, it was a really easy beginning, I will say. Like, we kind of had a I'll just say, like, if we end a scrim day with a 50% win rate, we're legit, like, concerned. Like, why are we losing?
Okay,
so
interesting.
Our average is something quite above that, and that includes versus LCS teams.
Ooh,
so
interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely been like, I expect first, but it's not always, you can't always translate. Sometimes you just run teams in scrims, and then they 2-0 you on stage, or 3-0 you.
Yeah, we heard CLGC were the scrim gods. They're already out of the tournament as well. But I do have a question from Joshi. What other orgs would you consider playing for? I mean, you've been a long-standing member of Cloud9. You spent a little bit of time on EG, but the primary home has been Cloud9. Would there be anybody else that you'd be looking at?
So I think coming back from my, let's say, like 1.5 year break, I was probably going to have to play Academy regardless. I did, like, talk to some LCS teams, but nothing went through. And for LCS, I was willing to talk to any teams. But I think for restarting my career through what's now Challengers, definitely Cloud9 was the team I would want to go for, and probably maybe the only. It depends, like, how the talks went. But yeah, definitely Cloud9 was the main one for Challengers and to restart my career, because I knew it would be the not necessarily easiest path, but the best path for growing as a player. And then for LCS, yeah, I mean, it's any team most likely I would play for, you know. Can't really have restrictions.
True. Is that what you're gunning for? Is that your goal in your career for Forthright? You just want to make it back to the LCS?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping and I'm expecting not to play another split in Challengers, as great as all of you guys are here, all the cast and producers,
Appreciate you.
and my teammates. But I am hoping for LCS next split.
I love to hear it, man. You got to have that competitive edge, and you got it, my dude. Now, do you have any preferences between your next opponent in that upper bracket finals between Dignitas Challengers and 100 Thieves Challengers?
I think I'd rather face 100C, but it doesn't matter too much to me.
Okay.
I mean, Dixie, they're a good scrim partner for us, so that's kind of nice. And so playing 100C, we still get our good scrims.
You don't want to fight Darshan?
Yeah, that's a new approach, but Darshan is on 100C, so I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But Darshan is coming back pretty strong. I was surprised. I knew he took a break, but he came back strong. Scrimmed him. He looks like he's good.
Ooh.
So it's going to be an interesting series next round. I would end the answer with I'd rather play 100C. Unforgiven hasn't played solo queue in 2 weeks. It's our chance. And we got the rank 1 AD.
There you go. The math works out. Now I just want to give you a quick moment to give a shout out here before I let you go.
Yeah, so this time I'm just going to give a shout out to my coach, Sam. And that's all.
All right. Well, appreciate you so much, Zazel, and shout out to Sam. Thank you, and we will, I'm sure, talk to you very soon. Have a great one, and we'll be back after a short little break here, everybody.